Welcome back, everyone, to another Farmwall live stream. I'm Tobias. I'm not sure if we've got some new people in here tonight. It's hard to tell. See a lot of familiar faces. But for those of you who haven't met me yet, I am the host of the live stream tonight, and I'm going to be emceeing and moving between guests and the Farmwall news as well. So without further ado, for anyone who has attended these, we'd like to start it off with a acknowledgement. So I would like to begin by acknowledging and paying my respects to the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which I am streaming from today. I would like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge that I'm streaming from land that was never ceded. So yeah, welcome back to any graduates of the first resilience growing program, as it used to be called, and also any new freshmen, I don't know, what do we call it? Any newcomers to the program, now called Ecosystem. It's had a little evolution over the last year, and we're really excited to sort of bring the old and the new members of the program together in one community now called Ecosystem. So welcome, everybody. Tonight, we're going to be hearing from Minerva, who is a previous member of the program, and she's going to be talking to us about her business, and the nutritional food products that she's been making, as well as her history as a food scientist. So we're looking forward to hearing all about that. We're also going to hear from G and a little bit of an update about the kits and the program and the delivery on that. We're going to hear from Luke, Farmer Luke, later on towards the end of the live stream, where he's going to tell us some growing tips coming into the change of season. And at the end, we're going to have, as always, a Q&A session where you can ask any questions related to any of the stuff that we've talked about. We can kind of open the floor up a bit. So yeah, before we move on, I'll just pass over to Abby, who can give us a little bit of a house rules rundown.
Hi, everyone. So most of us are probably Zoom pros by now, but just run over the house rules quickly. So make sure you're on mute while anyone else is speaking. Try and put your camera on if you feel comfortable doing so. And then in the top right-hand corner, switch it to gallery view so you have a nice view of everyone in this live stream. And questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or otherwise, at the end of a segment, feel free to take yourself off mute and ask them aloud. And the last one is always be nice. And then a side note, hey Mike, family, hey May. A side note, with this week, we had we used Calendly to invite you guys to the live stream, and we also did it in Mighty Networks, and that's just because we're in a bit of a transition period. And so from now on, you'll be able to RSVP through Mighty Networks. So cool. I'll pass it back over to Toby.
Awesome. Thank you, Abby. Who's can I get a rate of like show of hands or some words in the chat? Who's joined the Mighty Networks platform? Yeah, is everyone? Yeah, I can see some thumbs up. Is there anyone in here who hasn't joined? Well, I don't want to out you if you have. But all I'm saying is you probably should join. It's pretty awesome in there. If you've been in the Facebook group, it's like that, but just much better. We've got a lot more activity going on in there, and there'll be a lot more content coming in the coming months as well. So we're really excited to sort of bring that all to life as much as it is alive already as well, with everyone posting questions. And we've been seeing lots of people doing their sprouting as well. So to kickstart the new program, we have supplied all the new members a sprouting kit. And we have done a sprouting video as well. So I wanted to know if who here has done the sprouting. Has anybody gotten around and been able to do that yet? Awesome. Trudy, would you feel comfortable sharing your experience, how that was?
Hi everyone, I wasn't expecting to speak today. I was just thinking like I'd be a listener. So I'm actually working in early education and we're doing it with the children. So I don't actually know that much about it, but I can say that our beans are sprouting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's
and
pretty
the
much.
Children are loving it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I can imagine they are. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think if it's if the beans are sprouting, you're doing something right. Sprouting's pretty bloody easy, I gotta say. It's hard to get it wrong. That's why it's a great place to start when we're learning how to grow food at home. And it's so cool to hear that you're doing it with kids as well. Definitely one of our directions that we've been really kind of looking to assist in this year is in education and providing really meaningful learning experiences for people of all ages around growing food, because we realize that that's a huge way that we can influence and change our societies for the better, is if we reconnect everyone through food and through education. So great to see it in action. Yeah, we're looking forward to kind of doing more with the sprouting kits as well, and our small microgreen kits as well. So watch this space, everyone. Speaking of updates, I'm going to pass it over to G, who is going to do a little bit of a update as to where things are at the moment with the delivery of the program and also just Farmall in general. So G, would you like to take it away?
Take myself off mute. Thanks, Tobias. And yeah, glad to see everyone again in our monthly live streams. Lots has happened at Farmall. Yeah, I'm glad that we're all getting into the sprouting mode now. For the members of the new program, sprouting's got so much potential. We're all very excited about what sprouting can do to our food. It doesn't only release the great enzymes and proteins and amino acids out of our food, but it also breaks down the starches, so it's actually much more and easier digestible than when we normally take in that food. So yeah, we're super excited about sprouting, and we want to make it into an ongoing habit. If we all sprout our food, and it brings so much joy to our day-to-day experiences. Regarding the Farmall ecosystem program, so yeah, we've been going through some really good growth stages as well, and we've made so many amazing changes to the program. Yeah, first of all, the Resilience Growing Program has changed to ecosystem, and we've rebranded. Like Tobias said, we've moved from Facebook to Mighty Networks. That program or that platform has been shown so much potential, and it's going to be a joy to work with, to go to your course and learn all the new things and hear about the team at Farmall. Then our system is showing a lot more potential as well. So I've got one here right next to me, like where we've been able to grow lettuce on top of the fish tank to yeah, fully grown size in a very short period of time. So we're all super excited about that. And yeah, we've been striving to bring the quality of the program up to the highest level. With our suppliers as well, like things have taken a bit longer, so but things are falling into place. And we've also had to go back to our customers because our sales didn't go as well as in the first time, and we had to go back to ask ourselves the question why that was. And what we learned was that a lot of people were worried about the space it takes, looking after the fish, and making that commitment to actually looking after a living system that's gonna be in your household. And then the price point that comes along with it is an additional barrier. But basically, what we learned from all of you is that learning is the most important, and learning about how to live more sustainably, how to increase our nutrition, and how to be more connected to our food is what we're all about. So from beginning of next week, we're going to make some serious changes to our offering. And basically, we're going to bring the price down of our educational system to $245. And $245 will mean that you get the kits delivered at home, and you can go through the program for 3 months. And if you choose to keep going and look after the fish, then you'll be charged the additional $250. Otherwise, we'll come and pick it up and reuse it. So at Farmwell, we truly believe in the circular economy, and that everything should be reused, and that there is no waste. So we'll take that responsibility and that commitment to make sure that once you've learned what you can do with your new knowledge, and you can either keep going, or we'll pass that equipment on to the next person. So that means for everybody who's recently purchased it at the price of $495 or in between, if you choose not to keep going after 3 months, you'll be refunded up until the $245 price mark. So yeah, hopefully we'll send everything out in the next couple of weeks, so your kit is not too far away. And our apologies again for the delay, but we've made so many improvements that it's going to be truly worthwhile. And the educational program, the new videos, they all look amazing, and it's going to be a joy to work with. So yeah, that's it for me. I'm going to pass it back to you, Tobias, and then we can get into tonight's exciting topics.
Thank you, G. Has been exciting times here at Farmwell. Busy as well, got to say. Always plenty going on in the background. Try to keep a pretty sleek profile out front. Yeah, okay, so we have Minerva with us here tonight. Oh dear. I'm getting some rogue music playing. Just 1 second. My apologies. iTunes just started playing us some music randomly, and I was like, what the heck is going on? So, sorry, Minerva. We have Minerva here tonight to speak to us about her business. Minerva has a background in food science and has worked for over 13 years in the industry. But when she became a mum, she realized that there was a lack of healthy and sustainable foods in the supermarket. So this is when her company MINJUMS Foods was born, and she's on a mission to reduce disease caused by poor diet through offering healthy products made with just wholesome ingredients. Sounds a lot like what we're trying to do here at Farmwell as well. So that's why Minerva, and why we were really stoked to have Minerva as a member of the program the first time around, and excited to have her back here as well tonight. So Minerva, take it away.
Thank you, Toby. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good night. I was there in the other side long time ago, as I was part of the pilot program. So yeah, I'm a food scientist. I will share a presentation that I made, if that's possible.
Yes, that's now possible.
Yeah, okay. So I will tell you a little bit about me and also about MINJUMS. So I'm a food scientist with over 13 years of experience in the food industry. I was born in Mexico, and I remember that since I was in the university, I'm here with my hairnet and with my lab coat. I always been like that since I was studying in the university. And since I was studying, I always dreamed to have my own food business and develop like healthy and unique products. So in 2014, after many years working in Mexico, in 2014, I moved to New York. And then in 2016, we moved to Australia, but that was mainly because of my husband, and that was with a baby on my belly. So my daughter was born in December 2016. And for some of you that are moms, you know how much your life changed when you become a mom. I start to be more healthy conscious. I start to read a lot of information about nutrition and everything. And also one of the things that I did a lot is that I was with my lunchbox everywhere, because one of the things that she loves is food. So I realized that most of the products in the supermarket were full of refined sugars, artificial ingredients, and all that. And I really think that I was a lack of healthy food in the market. And if that was my dream, is what I have to do. So in 2019 is when MINJUMS was born. I was working in the industry. Then I moved to start my own business. That was something that I wanted to do, but I wasn't enough brave to do it until I was here in Australia and I had that necessity. So what is happening in MINJUMS Foods, we believe in a world where kids are not obese or overweight, but the reality is that in the world, 40 million of children under 5 are overweight, and 120 million of kids between 5 and 19 years are obese. That's in the world. And in Australia, 1/4 of the children between 5 and 17 years were overweight or obese, according with the ABS report 2017 and 2019. And another important thing, or one of the things that is happening, is that just 1 in 7 children between 2 and 17 years are eating the recommended daily intake of fruits and vegetables. And 1/3 of the energy was coming from discretionary food. So that's something that sometimes we don't realize, but it's something that is happening. And it's just not kids, but also adults, they are doing the same, not eating enough fruits and vegetables. And part of the vegetables is including the legumes. So kids are eating too many refined sugars, saturated fats, and sodium, and not enough amount of vegetables and fruits. And if you go to the supermarket and look at the nutritional tables or at the ingredient list, most of the products in one part, they have refined sugars or they have high saturated fats. So after looking all that and having my dream of have my own food, or have my own food business, I decided to develop this product. The name is MINJUMS, and it's a sweet spread. It's a plant-based spread that is made with wholesome ingredients such as lentils, fruits, and vegetables. And the idea of this is to help kids to increase the daily intake of fruits and vegetables, reduce the amount of refined sugars, and at the same time enjoying something that sometimes is not, like, you can have a food, really delicious food, but it's not nutritious. So in this case, one serving, in 100 grams of MINJUMS, we have 1 serving of fruit and almost 1 serving of vegetables. And also, as I already mentioned, well, we don't contain any other sugars or artificial ingredients. It's all natural. The idea of this was to have a product, a better for you option of a jam, or a better for you option of a chocolate spread, because we have the raspberry, the cocoa, and we add another flavor that is chai to have something that was unique. So we also have protein, we also have protein, fiber, and it's 3 times less sugar than a regular or a standard jam. And this is a product that it can be used as a spread on a toast, as a dip for a fruit, as a condiment for a porridge, or even as a dessert. Like, my daughter loved it, and that was the main thing I developed this product, and it's one of the things that make me feel so happy when I see she very excited to eat the product. and she eat it just as a dessert. Probably you wonder why we decide to use lentils, and many people have asking me the same questions. So for me, one of the things was to really have first an ingredient that was really nutritious, that contained protein. So I did my research on many different legumes that contain protein. But in this case, one of the things with lentils is that it's the one that ranks high as one of the best climate-friendly proteins. So it's very low in greenhouse gas emissions. And also, as I mentioned, it's a very nutritious food that is excellent source of vitamin B. It contains iron, magnesium, potassium, zinc, and it's very good on protein and fiber. Another thing that we decide, that's why we decide to use lentils, and this is just very high. In Australia, we produce a lot of lentils, and most of the production is exported to mainly to Asian countries. So I think that we have a really good food that contains lots of nutrients that in Australia we are not consuming. So then it's a big opportunity to use this ingredient in more foods. So that's why I decide to use this one. And Victoria, we have a lot of people that is growing lentil. Well, that was a little bit about MINJUMS, what we're doing and every that. And also I wanted to show my experience with the growing our own food in my family. So when I saw, I was part of the Rocket Seeder program where Geert was also part. So one day we were in a meeting and I heard about this program and I just got very excited because for me, this is something that is very important and more that I have a daughter to show her that she can grow her own food at home. Like since now she's 3 years old, she can realize that she can do it. Like when I was living in Mexico, and it's the way my parents educate me, or I don't know it's what, but I never believed that I will able to grow my own food at home if I don't have a big garden or a farm or something. So I was thinking that just until I will be able to buy a big house with a big garden, I was be able to do this. And when I heard about that, I was so excited and I really wanted to learn. So we joined the program. My daughter was super excited about it. Here is my husband helping. Here is my daughter and my husband doing the work. And she was very excited to contribute on all that. Here is Sophia also doing the seeding. And she really enjoyed. So I love how she learned since she's 3 years old, that she can grow her own food at home, that she can just go and cut the microgreens and put it in her plate, and she enjoyed it. What I have learned through all this journey is that we are a role model for a role model for our kids. And since today they see that they can grow their own food, they learn that, and of course I'm sure that she will be able to do that in the future by herself and growing with that in their mind. So it's all from my side, and I don't know if you have any question.
Awesome, thank you, Minerva. Yes, we do have some questions. Could ask you, we were wondering, how does from your experience of like working in Mexico and the US and Australia, how does the health comparisons between the two differ, especially in your work as a food scientist?
In terms of food in Mexico, unfortunately, we lack a lot of education in healthy food, and most of the food that we consume on the street, or if we go to the supermarket, it's just all junk food. It's so sad, and I think is one of the main things I wanted to do this is it's so sad to see kids that are 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds drinking Coca-Cola or having their potato chips bag as a lunch or as a breakfast. So it is so sad. And what I see in US, and also because, so it's that, and also according with the data is the problem with the world class countries is that the obesity. So the same, I think that there is a lot of lack of education, and they don't really realize that eating this food that is full of refined sugars and saturated fats is just causing effect in her health, or in their health, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why the importance around it, like food education, is can really make a massive difference. And I think that's one of the reasons, like you were talking about, the idea of growing food at home, and the kind of idea that that's even possible nowadays is it kind of we hope that it kind of reconnects people with the idea of what it actually means to grow food, and therefore like what is healthy and what is, you know, the whole starts to fill the gaps in the disconnection between us and the food and where it's grown and everything. And it's crazy. It's interesting to hear about the lentils as well. That so many lentils are grown in Australia but exported. Seems crazy.
Yeah, most of it, like 95% is exported. We don't use a lot of lentils. I think it's part of exactly the education and the food that we consume in each country, but it's a really healthy and nutritious food that we should consume more. In this case, we are trying to do this in a funny way, like in a sweet spread, but you can do many things also with that food. And another thing that I want to mention is that also part of my role in MINJUMS is to educate people about food, about labels and all that. I really want to contribute that people know what they are eating, and if they go to the supermarket, what they should be looking at before they decide to buy something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as is kind of as businesses with a sort of a value-based starting point, like MINJUM Foods and like Far More, I think, you know, we can have an awesome role to play as educators, that our sort of products or the things that we're offering as a service or a product kind of come bundled with a story around education and around sort of being ultimately healthier people and more in touch with well-being and the planet and things. Yeah. I love lentils. I had so many lentils.
Good. I was one day in a training. It's an accelerator program, and I mentioned about lentils, and most of the people say, "Oh, I don't like lentils," and it's not common that people like lentils, but I think that is the way that you can cook it, and probably you can have a different taste. In Mexico, we don't have red lentils, actually. We have the brown ones that it's a more like a hard taste, like it's a strong taste. In these ones, it's totally different.
Yes, I quite like the brown lentils. If anyone ever comes around to my house, I'll do a killer lentil bolognese. I'll convert you for sure into lentils forever. Awesome. Well, thanks, Minerva. We'll come back to questions, open questions at the end. Towards the end of the live stream. So if you have any questions for Minerva, just hold on to them and we'll get to the end and do a sort of an open floor situation where you can ask. But thank you again, Minerva, for speaking.
No, thank you for inviting me. It was really a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
No, it's great. Awesome. So I'm going to pass it over to Luke now, Farmer Luke, who some of you will be familiar with and some not. And he's going to tell us some gardening tips. Take it away.
Hey everybody, good to see you all. If you remember my little segment from last time, September, start of spring, and we were talking about how to get your garden beds ready and prepped for all that exciting spring planting. So hopefully some of you have done that or have already sort of had that on the way. So now we're looking at sort of mid-season now, we're sort of halfway through spring. Still getting some warm weather, but you know, like especially in Sydney and the East Coast, this week. It's been tons of rain, so sort of on that shoulder at the moment. But 3 little tips from me on how to keep those seedlings that you got in the ground going well and turn them into not just successful seedlings, but really bountiful sort of summer crops. And like this is really key sort of phase right now. So the first tip is feed your plants. So you've put the seedlings in, you've acclimatized them to your environment. What you want to do now is, now that they're starting to grow, and you probably will start seeing some flowers starting to form, or even potentially some early signs of fruiting, you want to give the plants some nutrients, because right now is like go time for the plants. To get big juicy tomatoes in December and January, you need to start growing healthy tomatoes now. So you want to give your plants some really good nutrient fertilizer. So we're talking about the NPK, the golden three of gardening, is nitrogen, potassium, and phosphate. So most fertilizers will have this. There's lots of brands out there on the market. Try look for an organic one. There's a lot of ones that we use, like seaweed, for example, as the base. And so it's like a waste product that gets to be turned into nutrients. So you want to feed the plants with, especially for fruiting plants, you want to feed them lots of potassium to get those flowers to turn into fruit. So basically, there are a lot of really good fruit and veg kind of like plant feeding products on the market. And so I'd encourage you to go down to your local nursery and have a chat to them and pick up a few bottles and have a look at what's going to be the best for you. So that's on feed your plants. Also, if you have any home compost going or some worm castings, worm tea, now's a great time to add a hit of them to your growing beds as well. Move on to tip 2 is weed your plants. And this is sort of weed your plants and also trim them and things like that. So if you made a really good growing medium and like good healthy soil, your plants are going to love it, but also the weeds are going to love it. And often you'll find that potting mix or any sort of supply of soil that you do get will have the odd weed seeds in it. Often if you get mulch, there'll be little like wheat, like seeds there as well, like grass seeds as well, from where that mulch has been made from. So if you're starting to notice little weeds pop up, now's a good time to get on top of them, because potentially they might be neck and neck with your plants right now. With all that good soil and all the rain and all the increased warmth of spring. So if you knock the weeds out now, then your plants can actually start to outcompete them. So they'll get more of a head start. And so by summertime, they'll be really well established. And then the weeds will, be basically lacking behind. They'll be shaded out. They won't get their share of nutrients. And they'll, naturally, it'll be a lot easier to maintain those weeds throughout the summer if you get on top of them now. And as well as weeding, you also want to start thinning out and trimming your plants. So it does depend on the fruit type, but tomatoes is the classic one. If you just plant a tomato and let it go, it's not going to be very productive, because it's going to put out heaps of shoots and different suckers and things like that. So there's certain ways to trim your tomato plant and take off the little suckers and trim some of the bottom leaves and kind of train it up so it's just 1 or 2 main stems rather than lots of little ones. And there's lots of things you can do around that, just taking off dying leaves, yellowing leaves, ones maybe too close to the soil, and that can be a source of infection for the plant. If you're watering it and soil splashes up onto the leaves, you can get bacteria from the soil will get onto the plant. So just little things like that, give your plants a little haircut and make them nice and trim and get rid of those sort of unhealthy looking leaves and stems. And so what's left behind, the plant can invest all that nutrients that you just fed it and can invest it into like a healthy plant and healthily growing fruit. And the third tip is introducing trellis and growing aids. So a trellis is a classic one for your tomatoes, and that's a really good shot there on the right. Looks like we have some kind of zucchini flower going on there, or a squash or something. So basically trellising, like in a natural environment, these plants will naturally look for things to grab onto. And in a backyard pot or like a little plot of land, maybe you don't have these the natural features around, so you need to provide like a support or a structure for your plant. So for tomatoes, it's string lines to kind of help pull them up, get the fruit up off the ground, support those branches, because as the fruit starts to grow, the branches will start to sort of bow down, and you don't want them to snap off. And I've seen that happen before. You have these beautiful truss of tomatoes growing, and they're kind of halfway there, and it hasn't been trellised properly, and the whole branch just snaps off. And you come back the next morning, and you've got these 6-8 tomatoes that were just another, few days off from being ripe. As of now, it has been eaten, by pests on the ground. So, trellising for your tomatoes, trellising for you to put beans in, cucumbers, zucchini, things like that. They're all different kind of methods you can use. So basically, you want to provide some kind of structure for your plants to grow up. I've got some like Malabar spinach growing right now. And it's a big climber, so it's nothing easy. I just drop a line of string from the top of my fence because it's my growing bed's next to the fence, and I've just sort of twisted it around, and it's just now continuing to grow up. But if you just left that grow on the ground, it wouldn't really do much. So you want to give your plants sort of the best structure and environment to sort of help themselves grow to the shape or in the direction they want to grow, and that will aid with a lot of things. Also, as well as growing aids, it's not just trellising. We can look at insect netting and repellents and things like that. So some crops, especially in urban environments, lots of possums around, lots of birds, rats, mice, things like that, they might want to jump up into your beds and have a little nibble overnight. So some bird netting or insect netting can also be really effective, and could be a good time to put them on your plants now as those first flowers and those first small fruits start to form. That's often when pests and animals will start to attack them. So yeah, that's sort of my 3 tips for your kind of shoulder between spring and summer. I'm starting to do this now, and I'm really happy. I've got some tiny little baby tomatoes on my plants at the moment, and I feel like I'm really set up well for a good summer this year, and because I didn't do a lot of this stuff last time, and so a lot of things went by the wayside. So there's nothing worse than investing a lot of time in seedlings and getting them started well, and then by November, December, all your plants are looking a bit sad. So if you do these 3 things now, give your plants a good feed, give them a good weed and a trim, and then introduce those growing aids and trellis systems, they'll continue their really healthy growth, and sort of in a month or 2 time, you'll have some really healthy looking crops.
Awesome. Could you summarize those 3 points as the feed, weed, and freedom tips?
That's good. I was trying to come up with, I was like, oh, feed and weed, that rhymes, and I couldn't quite get one for the 3rd. Yeah.
Freedom as in like growing
feed,
up.
weed, freedom. Yeah. That's
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
have to work on. We'll workshop it. Workshop it.
Yeah. We'll come back next time.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Luke, for sharing that.
Good.
Looking forward to your growing tips next month as well.
Cool.
Yeah. So kind of getting close towards the end of the session. Does anyone? We like to open it up to the floor as we get closer to the end of the session. So this is a time to kind of just ask any questions related to anything really. So if you're a new member of the cohort, the program, and you have some questions about technical stuff or about the program or Mighty Networks, now's a good time to ask. If you've got any questions for Minerva and about MINJUM foods, or if you've got any questions for Luke about growing tips, or if you just want to tell us how your day was, now's the chance to do it.
I can see a question there from Prasad. Tips on controlling caterpillars on tomato plants. And well, caterpillars are a common pest for a lot of your plants. One thing is to check your plants regularly. So caterpillars don't just appear, they start by a little egg and generally on the underside of the leaf. So when you're watering them, when you're trimming them, adjusting your trellis, things like that, just sort of have a little look on the underside of the leaf, or if you start to see tiny little holes in the leaf, that's generally an early warning sign. And often you can just like brush the eggs off. If you see a new caterpillar that has like started to do its damage, just pull it off, feed it to the birds, feed it to your cat, they'll probably have a play. If you have chooks, even better, feed it to the chooks. There's other repellents you can get. You can get a thing called neem oil. There's an organic like sort of pesticide, so it's derived from plant products. It is a little bit more pricey, but it's very effective, and we use it on the farm a lot as well. So Eco Neem Oil, NEEM. There's also some little home remedies you can do. You can do like soapy water sprays that you spray on the underside of the leaves that will sort of repel pests like that. There's one with, you can do like a chili water kind of thing. So like a little bit of chili oil or a hot pepper and some water and spray that, and that generally deter pests. So that's sort of one for the caterpillars, but it's just use your eyes, keep looking, pick them off when you can. If you start to notice, like, don't let it go for a day or two, because I've very easily seen a plant with like 1 or 2 holes in the leaf, and then 2 days later, the whole thing's consumed. So get to them early. That should definitely help.
We've got some more pest related questions. So
yeah,
continue that. Possums.
Yeah, I mean,
slugs.
They're feisty. I'm in Sydney. I used to have a regular possum when I had a tree in the backyard that would eat all my herbs without fail. It would come along the fence line at night. I'd hear it climb down my bedroom window over the roof, and I could even spot it sometimes with my phone to watch it. like unless you're, you can use chicken wire or insect netting. It's a bit like if you want to do that, that's great, and that's a fairly foolproof method. But then you then have a giant, enormous cage over your vegetables, so it is a bit harder to access. Other than that, because they're native, you don't want to put any like pest traps out or anything like that. But yeah, but like that's really the only foolproof method is some kind of netting, or potentially even like some lighting, like automatic lighting that is like sensor activated, so that turns on around the vegetable area. That will generally startle them and they'll run away because they like to do it in the dead of night. But yeah, possums, they get us all sometimes. So another thing to avoid possums is pick your fruit early. So when it's getting really close to ripening, get in before the possums do, and that's a common thing that a lot of farmers have to do. And I think there's one more. Yeah, an early education setting tips you can suggest to eliminate slugs without any risk to children. So hopefully I sort of touched on that answer before. Like you can use their soap sprays; they're really harmless. Chili sprays, well, harmless. Just make sure they don't squirt it in their eyes or rub their fingers in their eyes after they've used it. And yeah, eco neem oil is completely non-toxic as well. Like it's all organic and it's derived from plant extracts. So that's another safe one. Yeah, I don't use any pesticides in my growing because there's no need to. Like nature kind of already does the job for you. One thing I could say on that is beneficial insects and pests as well. So plant some beneficial flowers, and there's a thing called companion planting, which we've touched on previously. So those plants will provide natural like defenses against certain types of pests, and the list for them is there's thousands of combinations of companion plants and beneficial plants you can do. So just Google it, like whatever you're growing, tomato companion plant, zucchini companion plant, and it'll give you lots of like natural remedies you can plant alongside your vegetables to encourage beneficial insects that will attack those pests, or the plants themselves will exude some kind of, either they'll be like a sacrificial plant, so the pest will attack that plant instead, and things like that. There's lots of options. Yeah.
And definitely a foolproof one to fend off the possums is to grow inside using your aquaponic system or a small.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were growing. My housemate tried to grow coriander out the back, and that would always get decimated by the local possum. But I've been using my hydroponic setup to grow coriander, and it's going very well. It's even gone to flower in my house, in my living room, which is pretty awesome. Minerva, I might throw it back over to you. We've got some questions. Seems like you've got some love in the chat. People have been. Mike has purchased some of your dip, which is pretty awesome. Maybe you could tell us where we can find it. Is it available in stores, or did we purchase it online? And also, what does the future look like for you with your product?
Yes, so right now we are selling online in our webpage, but we are also very excited that we are part of the Victorian country market. I don't know if you have heard of that market. So it's an initiative from the government that is supporting farmers and small producers. So it's a online market or farmer market platform where you will find lots of producers and really good products there. And they are doing the delivery for us in all Victoria. So for me and my business was something great because my product is a refrigerated product. And it's very costly to distribute a product that is refrigerated. So it was a challenge for me. So now that I'm part of the Victorian country market, my product is delivery all around Victoria, and the delivery is free for all people. And apart of buying my product, you can also support other producers that are in that website or in that market, which is what is the Victorian country market. And we have our website that is minjums.com.au. Regarding what we're doing with MINJUMS, we recently launched in 2019. We are learning. Actually, we just launched our product as a minimum value product. For example, right now our container is plastic, is a reusable and recyclable container. We encourage a lot of people to reuse the container, but also for us it's very important to move. But what we are doing now is to learning from our customers to understand what do we need to change, if that they like the flavor and all that. So we need to reformulate and do many changes, like relaunching our brand. But yes, we want to keep developing products. The idea will be also using lentils, but not necessarily just lentils. It's also to keep doing the research and find the sustainable and whole foods that we can use in our products.
Mm. As a food scientist, what do you think? What is your perspective on plant-based foods and the role that they're going to play in our diets in the next decade?
Yeah, definitely. I think that is the future of food. Like, as we know, the gas emissions that cause to eat meat foods and all that is really causing a lot of effect on the planet, and a lot of people is looking for those options. So as a food scientist, I can tell you that right now we have many good options that are a vegan alternative that it really tastes really close to the ones that we like. So it's the way to go.
Mm. Yes, I think that there is a lot of things pointing in that direction. And it seems like there's a lot of really awesome and innovative products coming out on the market, particularly in the States, around like plant-based meats and alternatives. And I've been reading a lot recently about that space. So it's great to hear your perspective on it as a food scientist.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I just recently, and there is a girl that is from Australia, and I don't know if you know, he has a grounded food, this cheese, and she moves to New York and she's launching her brand there. And she made a cheese out of cauliflower and hemp. I haven't been able to taste, but I really want to taste something like that, because imagine a cheese made of cauliflower and hemp. And I have heard comments from people that it's really delicious. It's like, yes, I want a product like that. So my comment is like, yeah, I think it's evolution a lot, and we are finding now more and more alternative plant-based products.
Mm. And how has the reception of MINJUM Foods been? Has it met your expectations of people? Has it been like a market of people who are looking for those healthy products?
Yes, I think that my main thing is to, like, I have not been a lot of time here in Australia, and most of my community was around Latin people, and even Latin people receive my product very well. And I said even Latin people because sometimes we just care about flavor and sugar, and we don't care about a lot of the nutrition. But moms are really are really healthy conscious, and they are eating our products. When I was selling at farmers markets, it was really well received. They were very excited, and the comments that they make me was like so happy, like, wow, you are really developing something that is very good, like lentils, dates, it's so good. And they love the product and the idea. So it has been well received. It just as all us as entrepreneurs to do the right marketing strategy to get into the people that we want. I mean, my target markets are mom with kids, but my idea is to have a food that as a mom, I feel confident to eat, and my daughter always wants to eat whatever I'm eating. So I will feel very happy to share this with my kid. And also it's something like a connection with her, like we are eating the same food, we are sharing and connecting. So yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. And I think with values like that, I really hope it succeeds. Awesome. Thank you very much for speaking tonight, Minerva, and thank you very much to everyone for showing up and watching our another one of our monthly live streams. Yeah, hang tight for next month one. If you've, we're going to be making this recording available as well in the Mighty Networks. We're going to continue that trend like we did with the previous program. So if you want to review it, or if you're someone who's watching this in the future, hello. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you again soon. Right. Bye everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thanks, Tobias.
No worries.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.